All right. Just got off of work. I'm excited about doing these videos. To share with the world my journey. Hopefully, I can encourage a lot of y'all out there to go the whole way. You know. Hopefully, I can be some type of encouragement to those who are stuck with a half step or confused about a whole step. But I want to share these videos with y'all and express to you all how I found God in my life and how He's established in my life, and how we walk hand in hand together. Now, all of this has to go all the way back to the earliest thought I could ever remember. You know, how I was even introduced to God. Like, have y'all ever really thought about it? Who was the first person to tell you or say the name God to you? Or to say that there is a God who created us. When was the first time that you can go back and remember where it all began with the notion, just the notion alone of a God? Okay. And I can only express to you my thoughts when I've actually given it some hard king thinking. What did I come up with? When was God? How was I with God as a child? And I could just tell you some things that I could remember because some of the thoughts are vague, but when I really look at my life to try to pinpoint when was God truly introduced to me and when did He make His first impression on my mind, just the thought of Him and where I grew from there. Okay? The beginning of God for me, the earliest thought I could ever think of is when I first went to church. When my mother first brought me to church, I could see that my dad had one church and my mom had another church. I forgot the name of her church. It was maybe Second Free Mission Baptist Church, but my first church that I can recall being a part of is First Free Mission Baptist Church. And it was a Sunday school morning on a Sunday. Of course, it's Sunday. And we were sitting down and we started in Genesis, literally. And all I could remember is Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created. Just that thought alone, that was enough to make an everlasting impression on my mind about the notion of someone so powerful who created everything, the air we breathe and all that stuff. When it said in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created, my little bitty mind went off. Okay? I was obsessed from the very first, from that alone, let alone reading everything else and finding out how, Abraham and Noah and Moses all reacted and how they all responded towards the Father. Hearing all of these stories about these men in the scriptures inspired me. Okay? I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be the apple of the eye of the God that created us all. I wanted to be an apple, just like they were an apple, okay, and like how we all can be an apple, but you know, I initially wanted to be that, um, uh, because it was a life I'm enamored to. You see, a lot of us are born in this world, and we're given so many different options and choices, with many directions with which we can go. You know, my parents couldn't have been the ones to take me to church, and the very first thing that made an impression on my mind could have been, you know, going to school and seeing all these dudes and getting all these girls, and you know, the things that in school inspire worldly mindsets. You know, I could have easily took to that in my life, but the moment in the beginning God created made an impression on my mind about something higher than where we currently are. I was fixed. Okay, now that wasn't the only reason why I became fixed on God. Okay, obsessed with God. The main some of the main reasons I could actually remember from my earliest beginning, you know, when I first started with this journey, is hating the world. You know, there was an enamored love that I had for God, while in the exact same sentence hating this world. That was my very first relationship with the world was hatred. Okay? For this whole world, my very first impression, understanding, thought about it was that I hated it. And I'm going to tell you why. When I first went to school, okay, I mean, I could remember all of those thoughts, you know, being in pre-K, you know, sitting on a rug that had the letters and everything in it. You know, I can read all of that, but the thing that got me when it came down to the hatred of the world, you know, was seeing how evil people were in the world at a young age. Okay, teachers hated me, students hated me. I grew up around people hating me. Okay, I'm not talking about family wise, but even still within my family, there was a lot of hatred, and still to this day, there's hatred within my family. And there are brothers that I have that I don't even talk to. Okay, and that literally is my impression of the world, is simply that something is wrong with it, and because there's something wrong with it, I hate it and I don't like it, you know. And ever since then, I've been moving forward in a journey where I love the Father, I love his ideas, I love the things that he wants to do with the world, and I hate the world in the state that it currently is in, because people are dying and people are out there hating and one another. You know, as a child, the only thing I could remember is how I used to always get in the fights, you know, fighting back and forward with this person, that person, and not really gathering a reason for which I would be as to why we're even fighting at this point in time. You know, till I grew up and I realized that children didn't like me because their parents didn't like my parents, and the children grew to not like me. And it's not just me. I have a twin brother as well. We all kind of went through the same thing. But you know, this is my story, so I'm gonna tell it to you. You know, and people just used to hate me and want to fight me all the time when I was small. That's all I used to know of when it came down to people. You know, and I would go home and I would cry to my mom, like, why in the world do people hate me so much? You know, and as a result of it, why do I hate the world so much? I never really could look at a person and say I hate them. I would always say I hate the world, because God had an impression on me first before I learned of what hatred was. And his impression led me not to hate a person, but to hate the entire construct from the very beginning of what is called a world. I hated it from the very beginning. Okay? And so now my journey begins with that alone, knowing that there is a God and that something is wrong with this world. And thus my journey began from that alone. And I could never, my mind could never rest or settle until it found the absolute understanding of why things are the way that they are. What can I do about it to change the circumstances in this world? It didn't matter what little part I could put towards making a change in this world. I endeavored to do that, to put that part first. But in my life, the route that the Father has led me to take, and caused me to have to deal with myself first before I could ever step out and try to help anyone else in the world. Okay? And I've done all of these things, and so that's the point of me sharing it with you, so that you know what journey I've taken, and I've how thorough my steps were to getting to the Father. And this to encourage all of you out there who are doing the exact same thing. You are not alone, because the journey that I'm taking, I would be a fool to step to the Father and say I'm the only one, when there are thousands that have not bowed their knees, haven't been taken in by the wickedness of this world. So that there are other brothers and sisters out there, and I'm doing this video for y'all, to encourage y'all to move forward and know that. See, here's the thing. I find the heart stronger when the heart knows that it's not alone. I find your efforts given much strength when you know that you're not alone going ham for the Father. You see, I go hard. I go extreme for the Father. In the beginning of my journey was a very shaky one in this world. This world could never confuse me, because I could always see the veil that's in it. Causing people to do everything that entails life without God. And so that's how my journey began, in school, in church, and even at home. There was always, friction within my household, with some siblings, not all. But there was always friction. And, as far as the point in time in which I was born, my mom was always sick. My whole life she was always sick. And I used to be one of the ones who, on account of what I've been studying and reading in the Word of God, I used to always run to her every beckoning call. Whenever she needed me, she used to always yell out, and she would call me Tani. Tani, 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 and every time she would call me, I would stop. It didn't matter what I was doing. I could be playing a game. I could be whatever. I would drop whatever I'm doing and run to my mother. And she would call me, and she told me one day, she said she used to call me just because of the simple fact that I make haste. Because I do what she wants me to do for her quickly. And I don't waste any time, and she gave me, she said, thank you, my son, for that. She actually let me know she appreciated me for that. And that's what I used to do with her before she passed away. But long, just it's not. I can't really say long story short, because this is gonna be a whole series of my journey of finding a father, and it begins with the earliest memories that I could ever find of him. Because he was some of my first king impressions upon my life. The thought of him was the very first impression that ever, enamored me to, seek him further. And I used to, I mean, just looking at this world, you know, um, I used to always just with people, period. I used to always bicker and fight with them and try to tell them stop doing wrong and things like that. And wrong is wrong that they would do towards me. Like, people would always want to fight me, but the thing is, here's the thing about fighting. I know there are people out there that do it for sport, people out there that do it out of hatred, but my the type of person that I am, my spirit can never settle with hitting someone and drawing blood from that person. I can never see myself doing that to anybody unless I'm truly protecting myself. And even then I make it my very last resort to actually go to that point, with anybody. But I could see how easy it was for them to hurt me. Like in their hearts, I could see how easy it was for them to want to draw blood from me and hate me and knock me out and do things like that. So I did everything I could to avoid such anger and hatred that came from the world towards me. Okay? See, I didn't just hate the world, but the world hated me too. And our relationship is exactly the same way, even to this day. Me and the world, we don't get along. And anyone that's in the world, I can't get along with you. So I keep my distance. I stay away from the evils that exist. And I still, while staying away, still try to reach out a helping hand, in a word of wisdom to people so that they can do the exact same thing. But as far as trusting people is concerned, I never grew to learn to trust people in this world. There's little to no people, and I say little to no because I have my twin brother who I trust, and I love him dearly, and I have my sister and her whole family that I trust, and I love them dearly. As far as that's concerned, it doesn't extend beyond that. As far as any level of trust that I would give to anybody in my life. And then there are also brothers and sisters that I don't know of that exist out there who are following the scriptures. And, my best efforts of doing these videos is to reach out to them to let them know that they're not the only ones extreme in the Father. I am also doing my best, to seek him out and make every part of him a part of me. And I endeavor to go in it as extreme as I could go, because my life is a living experiment. Okay, and I plan on it being that way to the day I die. Okay, I have no want for anything, not a wife, not kids, not money, nothing. Okay, I have no want for any of these things. I only endeavor to seek after the Father, find him, and make him a part of my life while helping him along the way, though he does not need my help, but plugging myself in to his divine plan and being a part of that. That's my whole life right there in a nutshell. That's all I want to do. So I get the chance to share with you my extreme experiment of what happens to a person when they give God their all. Okay? I want to be, and am going to be, in my own way, a good example to everyone who dares to watch these videos. And I say dare to watch these videos because you really don't understand. When I say extreme, I truly mean I truly mean I'm going ham for the Father each and every day. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And y'all gonna find out, basically, in a nutshell, to tell you where I currently am. The why of why I'm currently am is gonna come throughout these series is that I do. But my belief and understanding in the Father goes all the way back to the beginning. I endeavor to incorporate the things he first spoke. Not the second thing he spoke, not the third thing he spoke. The very first thing that came out of his mouth as a commandment, that is what I keep. So we go all the way back to Genesis. When it comes down to the commandment he gave to Adam, even and to Eve as well, about having dominion in the earth, and that to them he gave to them the greens of the field and things like that to eat. So that in it of itself becomes a reason why I incorporated being a vegan in my life. That's just one of the reasons, like I gotta do a whole series on it to explain it to y'all, the reason why, because the divine love becomes the ultimate reason why anyone should do anything, is because it's the heart of God. And when it comes down to killing and taking a life that I had no power to give, I can't see myself doing that. Okay? I can't even see myself vicariously doing that, being any way associated with that. If you killed an animal and gave it to me to eat, I'm not going to eat it because you killed it. If that animal was dead and someone else killed it and you bought it from the store and trying to give it to me to eat, I'm not going to eat it because there's death in it. I don't want anything to do with death, okay? So I'm not eating death. I'm not doing anything that deals with killing. See, I don't have to kill the tree that bears fruit for me to pluck a fruit off that tree and eat it. That tree still lives. Okay, and the work that tree produced for me to live is the work that I receive for my sustenance in life. So I become a complete vegan on that account, in dealing with the Father and trying to see what he made things for to be. Did he make this animal for me to kill it and eat? I look into the scriptures to find out if there is anything that initially, and I say initially because I know y'all talk about the dietary law and things like that, but I'm not dealing with the dietary law that was given to people that murmured, people that stabbed the Father in his back anytime they got the chance. It was given to the type of people the type of person that I don't want to be. When it comes down to the Father, I'm talking, when I go extreme, I'm going ham. I'm talking about we going hard, which means that if y'all don't accept it, if y'all don't receive it, then don't come my way, period. And I say that out of tough love, okay? Don't come this way because I'm going ham over here, okay? But if you're able to step into that fire, come on, I got a lot that I need to share with you. Secrets and all types of things that you need to hear, so that you understand who the Father is and what we out here and what we need to do out here. Period. What else? I'm praying every day. Had to find something that incorporated a worship within my life. Because the worship in your life matters. The worship in your life enhances your soul, your spirit. It increases your inner man when you're able to speak the things that you need to say to the Father freely, and in love and in extreme humility towards Him. Praying to the Father is not yelling at Him. Praying to the Father is not crying and sighing and moaning and moping. When you go to the Father, you go to Him in joy and love and in peace. You go to Him ready to learn, because He's going to give you means and ways with which to overcome. And only through your worship will you be able to fully overcome sin. Listen at me. I will repeat this again. Overcoming sin takes true worship. Overcoming sin fully, down to the very last drop, takes true worship in order to do. For Christ Himself says that there are certain demons that you can't cast out except through fasting and praying. So your worship is the final and ultimate step to overcoming sin 100%. And I'm going to share with you all my worship. You see, every morning when you wake up, establish a prayer at that point in time. Don't let it pass you by. Don't let the devil win. Every time that passes you by, the devil wins. Okay? Throughout the day, while you're working, midday, when the sun is highest in the sky, stop and pray. Give a moment of silence, and let the peace of God enter in. Stop what you're doing and let the peace of God enter in. You see, God has to interrupt your day. God has to interrupt your day so that sin does not. Does that make sense? You have to let God interrupt your day so that sin does not interrupt your day. Someone has to interrupt your day. It's either going to be sin or it's going to be the Father. And you have the chance to choose who you will allow to interrupt your day and yield your members, servants, to obey. And I choose the Father. And I'm going to help you all make a clear choice in this. Okay? Because sin is very weak, really. I'm telling you the truth. Look, sin has no strength. Sin has no power. Sin only has what you give it, period. Sin only has the might and the strength that you give to it. Which means that it's using your own strength. It needs your own strength to feed off or to even be strong. And so, also, when it comes down to the Father, I would love to say that it's the exact same way, but it's far greater, because the things that He give you have power in themselves already, and they add to the strength that is in you. And when it comes down to it, I don't just say that I stand up in authority within me over all sin that exists. But I'm letting you know by what means and by what power I'm able to stand up, and that's by the power of God alone. Y'all don't understand the depths of what I'm sharing with you right now, but I got to share it to you so that you can increase and become strong on the inside of you as well. It's not about, scratch all that. It's not about boasting. Look, I done lived my whole life. I done lost everything in my life for this truth. So I've already been humbled. And I've established my humility with the Father. So there's nothing I need to prove to you. I only need to share with you my testimony. Whether you believe, whether you go in the same direction as me or not, that's all on you. I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's you and your journey. And the only thing that I would have to do with it is if you say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to join this man on his journey, to overcoming sin, overcoming the world. And I'm going to learn everything I need to learn from this man so that I can add that and incorporate that into my life. And the moment this man decides to speak a lie to me, I'm going to have to just go ahead on and go the other way. But I'm going to get from him what I can, as long as I can. You feel me? because I'm not about to be out here talking about, I'm perfect, or I'm not about to be out here trying to claim to be Christ, or none of that stuff like that. It's not even about that anymore. It's about all of us put in a place where we're suffering, where we're crying, where we're hurting, and if we can help one another by sharing our testimonies as to what specifically it took to overcome any type of sin, then we need to do that. We need to parlay. We need to go ahead on and communicate back and forth so that I can share with y'all exactly what it took for me to get where I am right now. My very last sins that I overcome, and I'll say two of them. Some of the very last sins that I overcame was lust. Dealing with pornography and things like that. Those are the things that the very last sins that I've overcome, and it's been years since any of that even came to mind. And I'll tell you what I have in place within me that allows me to overcome, even if I talk about it, even if I think about it, even if I see it. Nothing that the devil can whisper into my thoughts at this point in time can cause me to drift back to that place I don't want to be. And then some of the very first sins that were easy for me to overcome, because that's kind of how I used. Let me see if I can explain this to y'all. There were easy sins that were easy for me to overcome, and there were hard sins that were hard for me to overcome. And then the easy sins that were easy for me to overcome, I dissected them and evaluated them and put them to the test as to put them under the microscope to try to figure out why is it easy for me to overcome this sin and it's not easy for me to overcome that one. Okay? And I found out that I found my key, the thing that helped me to overcome those sins easily, so that I would be able to easily overcome the latter sin that seemed to be strong, but it's very weak. Okay? So it initially starts off with me being able to look at the sin, and the thing that helped me overcome this sin was a keen wisdom. Okay, a certain kind of wisdom that enabled me to overcome it. Like, for example, one that was easy for me to overcome was eating pork. Eating pork, holidays, to stop worshiping these fake holidays, calling Christ by fake names, like Jesus or whatever have you, finding out who I am and accepting myself as an Israelite, chosen by the Father, and then also researching that to find out what the Father's heart is with regards to that, and how faith, how there's a natural branch and a branch that's grafted in, how there will be others that cleave to Israel, because people are not gonna there's gonna come a point to where people will not be able to turn their eyes in another direction but in the direction of Israel. There's gonna come a time when the whole world is not gonna be able to do nothing, but they won't be able to help looking at the people of God and trying to figure out how to be like them. There's going to come a point in time where that's inevitable. Okay? So, all of these things, those sins were easy to overcome because wisdom gave me the intellect as to why I should overcome them. Like, for example, eating pork and how sick it makes you and how it destroys your body, things like that. Having that wisdom of intellect, knowing scientifically what it does to me, helped me easily drop that habit without resorting back to it, not even one iota. Okay? The only time that it would happen to pass my intellect is when someone when I go somewhere and get something, and someone instantly makes a mistake and throws something onto my food, which, it's not meant to make me angry, because they don't know, they don't understand. I have to see the love of God, and say, look, you didn't know that I don't like pork, and that is something that'll make me throw all my food away when there's one drop of pork on my whole thing, on my plate. They don't know that, so I gotta act and respond with love, and I gotta return it and say, look, hey, I don't eat pork, I don't have nothing to do with that. I'm sorry to have to do this, but could you make it over again? And I respond with love, so that there's no friction, so that there's no hatred going forth in that person's mind towards me, because they hate the fact I made them make it again, or whatever have you. So those that walk in the Father must walk in love at all times. If you do not walk in love, then you are not in the Father, period. So with every response, with everything that you do, with every offense that seems to come against you, you must respond in love, period. And I'll show you how I laid up to all of this. All of these are conclusions I've made about the Father that I've incorporated within me. So that I can be pleasing in His sight when I step before Him, because we're all gonna have to step before Him, period. And the thing is, I'm looking at this life, and this is why I'm okay with making my whole life an experiment, a living experiment. It's because I see this world, and it doesn't appeal to me at all. Not this temporary life, not temporary happiness. Nothing with the word temporary in it is appealing to me anymore, period. I don't care about how much money this person got, that person got. I don't care if this young man over here got more money than me. And none of that stuff affects me. None of that stuff has any weight within my life, period. And all of these entail me being who I am right now. The journey that I've traveled in my life. And then back to the sins that were easily overcome. They will overcome through wisdom. Wisdom is the strongest method to overcome any sin, period. And the thing is, you don't just you need wisdom and the strength to believe in the wisdom that you receive. That's the strongest method within me. I'm not sure about y'all, but I'll say I've concluded that wisdom is the strongest method to overcoming any ailment, any setback, anything within this world. Wisdom is. The wisdom of God. That's the only way to overcome fear, to overcome doubt, to overcome any ailment that you may have physically with your body, to overcome any sins that continue to weigh over you. All of that. Wisdom is I've found, after having dissected all of the sins I easily overcame. I overcame because there was wisdom in place. Okay? There was wisdom about what happens when I eat this thing that's getting ready to kill me. Even drinking alcohol, when I see the poisons that, because my body, since I've gone vegan, my body responds to alcohol differently. It's got to be diluted, okay? It's got to be mixed with water, to bring the effect down, because it has a higher effect on my vegan system, okay, than it would had my system been filled with all types of gunk and muck and stuff like that. Because I purified because my whole system is purified, okay, the slightest things have a higher effect on my body than they would had my body not been purified. So through my body, I can clearly identify what the Father does not initially want from us through my own body. If I eat any type of food and I get sick from that type of food or whatever have you, I know that there was something in that food that I should not have digested. And this is the dietary law being taught to me through me, okay? Because my body is bearing witness to what's good for me and to what's bad for me. So as I go, I continue to say, no, I can't do that. Yes, I can do this. No, I can't eat that. Yes, I can eat this. And then now you all start to understand how I see the living word to be. You know, what happens when you eat animal flesh? How does it rest and sit in your system when you consume a bunch of red meat, raw meat, and any type of animal flesh? Is my system made to digest this? And looking at wisdom to understand that it's not made to digest this and things like that, it's easy for me to kick that habit easy with no problem. And these are and though just that simple processes like that help me to look within my life that's in that same mindset with that king eye in everything, and it led to me overcoming the very last sin that I was revealed, or that I was made aware of by the word of God. And that's lusting with the eyes, you know, even with the hands and things like that, lusting with my own flesh. You know, overcoming that became an easy thing for me when the wisdom of what's going on when I do that and how I'm destroying my spirit was made clear to me. Okay? And I'm gonna do a whole nother video about that to explain to you all the Christ within, and how you put out your fire, your life force, talking to men specifically, okay? Because within a man is the seed of life, and that seed of life is a flame, okay? That when your body is pure, your body takes from it every good thing to create that one seed. Okay, and then if that one seed is not used, it's reabsorbed back into your body. You know, and everybody trying to figure out how. Look this up. It's called telomeres. Okay, people are trying to figure out how to lengthen these telomeres when the Most High has already made a automatic mechanism within you to lengthen your telomeres, and that's preserving the power of God within you, which is your seed. Because your life doesn't just give seed to another child. No, it also gives life. It doesn't just give life to a child within a woman, but it also gives life to your own body within you. And a lot of us are ending up using our seed and spilling our seed every single day, which keeps our flame low. Don't you understand that that's liquid light? Okay? You know, the seed that you bear, that's liquid light, and it keeps the flame on the end of each and every one of your cell lit and extended as long as God blesses you for them to be extended. You know, a lot of us are dealing with old age, and we're dying because we're spilling our seed. We're using our seed. We're not cherishing our members, okay, that are meant to extend these things and keep this thing going long and long and long and long. You know, and we end up using our seed and spilling our seed, and it's a sacred thing that's meant to when you're ready to bear child, and when you're not ready to preserve. You know, even for ministry, you know, if y'all ever realize how Christ was able to do the healings that he did, that the power of God was flowing through him. Okay, and he preserved the power of God within him, so that when a woman touched him who had an issue of blood, he said, I felt the virtue come from me. How was he able to feel the virtue coming from him? Okay, why do y'all think he spit with his glands on the mud that he put on the eyes of the blind man in order for the blind man to see, because through his spittle, the seed was so full within him through his spittle, that divine Christ oil went forth and mixed with the angel of earth and the angel of water, so that the man is able to see, because you got the angel of earth on your eyes, you got the angel of water on your eyes. And even when he went to the pool of Siloam and spoke the holy name, he was able to receive that healing, because the last remedy, the last balm that he needed was faith. Okay, faith is the mechanism that causes the power of God to manifest. Okay, and when you become the catalyst, when you become something like Christ was, Christ would always ensure and make sure, he would say, "Do you have faith that I can do this?" When you have faith that the Son of God can perform the works of God, then through the Son of God is channeled the works of God. Only by faith, he says, let it be according to your faith, because faith becomes that powerful mechanism, within you. When you look at the man of God and you have faith in the man of God on account of the life that he's living, on account of, the things that he's doing, the works that he's performing, and the fact that that man of God is truly a man of God, then faith becomes the mechanism for healing to flow through that man of God, because he's connected. See, the thing is, y'all don't understand that God does not listen to sinners, and he doesn't work through anyone but those who have his approval and his approbation, which is his approbation. When you have the approval of God, then the tree of life flows through you. The mechanisms of God flow through you. And those are just some small snippets and hidden secrets, to help you all. But this is just, I'm gonna explain to you all my journey, tit for tat, and it began, to close it out. It began with, in the beginning, God created, and that was enough to set a little child off, okay, and cause me to be enamored. I used to be one of the children who, when I used to take long trips in the car, I used to have talks with God, hey God, how you doing? What's going on today? What did you do today? I'm going to tell you what I did, God, today. This is a little child with an imaginary friend, or seemingly imaginary friend, that he called God. And God has been with me from my very beginning. He's been my friend. He's been my lover. He's been everything to me from the very beginning of my life. And now my life is fully dedicated to him. There's no hindrance in my way with my journey to the Father. I'm not a part of any type of group that can sway my understanding. I'm not married to no woman who can sway my understanding. I have no friends who can sway my understanding. There is nothing, no one but me on this journey of mine. And I am the only one with full influence at the helm of my thoughts, that I can go to him full-fledged, okay? And I can share this experimental life with you. Because if you ever want to know what happens to a person when they give their all to the Father, keep looking at my series. Keep looking at me. And I'm going to show y'all exactly what happens to me. Even if it be death or whatever you want to call it. But my life, I'm setting it up for God to glorify. I want my life to be set up for him to establish his glory through my life. Okay? Even if, however y'all want to look at my life, I also, and this is king right here. I also want to be the prime example in my life of good, so that there can be a clear depiction or distinguishing between the evil way and the good way here on earth. And those who join me also will be making that exact same statement. And when I say join, I just simply mean just connect with me. Hey, how you doing? What's up? It's just that simple. Hey brother, how do I overcome this sin? Or how did you manage to do this? And things like, it's just sharing information, period. You know, and I plan on being that information probe that you all can prick at in order to get all the information you would ever need. Out of me, wherever I can point you to a direction where you can go and get all the information for yourself as well. But there needs to be right now in the earth a clear depiction between right and good, because right now, Israel, it's time to make a choice. Who will you serve? Will you serve the devil or will you serve God? World, it's time for y'all to make a choice. Who will you serve? Will you serve the devil or will you serve God? And I plan on being on the side that serves God, okay? And establishing my life as a living testimony and example, so that you all can know what good is. Because can y'all really say what good is? We know sin very well. We know evil very well. But do we know good? And that's the point, is the fact that we truly do not know good. And we need to know it, we need to learn it, and we need to live it. And doing so will cause the Father to turn his face around, I promise you. And besides that, he also he decrees within the word of God. He said, put me to the test in this. Give all, not a portion, all of the 10% that you owe to me. Okay? And watch and see. I will pour out a blessing on heaven where you have no room with which to receive. Okay? And he said, try him in this. Put him to the test. When we start to act in love, let's put him to the test. That's what he says. When you walk a ministry of love, I will pour out a blessing. That's the test he decreed for us to do. Now, I encourage y'all to be patient in that, and learn what he truly wants. Learn what good actually is before you make that step. Because if you make a step in error in the Father, he's so, particular, so intricate in his ways that the wrong step will trickle a multitude of sins that you will have to answer for, and you don't want that. Okay, so be careful how you move and how you walk and how you step forward in the Father, before you start stepping forth in the Father. And I'm doing my videos right now so that y'all can get a good idea of what it means to step forward in him. But I guess that's a little bit more of an intro for y'all, a little detail as to how I started, and my journey is going all the way to love, a provoked action in the Father, where love is being shown and displayed from my members, at least from this direction. Okay, where I get the chance to show y'all love and what righteousness is and what good is and things like that, so that y'all can start doing the exact same thing. It's all about love, baby. It's all about being faithful towards the Father, and turning this world around. I guess that's it for now. Health, blessings, and peace. Shalom.